The morning sun poured through the small curtains of Nia's room. She stood in front of the mirror for the third time, smoothing the front of her blouse and adjusting the edge of her black skirt. She wasn't someone who spent hours dressing up. In fact, most days she wore whatever was available and rushed out the door. But today felt different. Mrs. Beatrice had invited her personally. The woman had helped her get a job when nobody else was willing to give her a chance. Nia respected her deeply. The last thing she wanted was to appear careless. She looked at herself once more. Simple, decent, presentable. That would do. A smile appeared on her face. At least I won't embarrass myself today. She picked up her bag and checked its contents. Phone, handkerchief, extra sanitary pad, wallet. Everything was there. Satisfied, she stepped outside. A few minutes later, she boarded a bus heading toward the neighborhood where Mrs. Beatrice lived. As the vehicle moved through the busy streets, Nia stared out of the window. People rushed from one place to another. Vendors shouted. Children played. Cars honked endlessly. Life moved quickly in the city, much faster than the village she grew up in. Sometimes she still felt like an outsider, like someone who had accidentally wandered into a world that wasn't designed for her. But she was trying. Every day she was trying. And perhaps that was enough. At almost the same time, Jules stretched lazily on his bed. For the first time in weeks, he had slept peacefully. No dreams about Rose. No memories tormenting him. No bitterness. Just sleep. Pure sleep. He rubbed his face and sat up. A smile appeared on his lips. Maybe Donald was right. Maybe healing had finally started. His phone buzzed. A message from Donald. Don't keep me waiting. I'm already hungry. Jules laughed. That man only thinks about food. He got out of bed and headed toward the bathroom. An hour later, he was driving toward his mother's house. Donald sat comfortably beside him. You know, Donald said, your mother loves me more than she loves you. Keep dreaming. I'm serious. You only visit because of her cooking. Donald nodded proudly. Exactly. Jules shook his head. You have no shame. None. Both men burst into laughter. For a brief moment, life felt normal again. Mrs. Beatrice stood near the entrance of her house, smiling as she watched Nia approach. Nia. Good afternoon, Ma. Oh, my dear. The older woman pulled her into a warm embrace. You look beautiful. Nia smiled shyly. Thank you, Ma. Come inside. The house was elegant but welcoming, not the kind of place designed merely to impress visitors. It felt lived in, comfortable, safe. Family photographs decorated the walls. Fresh flowers sat on nearby tables. Everything carried warmth. Mrs. Beatrice guided her into the living room. You must be hungry. A little. Good. The older woman laughed. Because I cooked enough food for an entire village. Nia giggled. For some reason, being around Mrs. Beatrice always relaxed her. She never felt judged. Never felt inferior. Never felt small. The woman treated her with kindness that reminded her of home. They sat together talking for nearly an hour. Mrs. Beatrice asked questions about her family, her childhood, her dreams, her future. And slowly, Nia began opening up. My father died when I was younger. Mrs. Beatrice's expression softened. I'm sorry. My mother did everything she could after that. Nia smiled sadly. She worked so hard. I can imagine. There were days we barely had enough food. Mrs. Beatrice listened quietly. No interruptions. No pity. Just understanding. But my mother always told me one thing. What was that? She said poverty is temporary if you refuse to surrender. Mrs. Beatrice smiled proudly. Your mother sounds like a wise woman. She is. And you? What about me? What do you want from life? The question surprised her. Nobody asked that anymore. People usually asked what job she wanted, what salary she needed, what bills she had, not what she truly wanted. She thought carefully. I want peace. Mrs. Beatrice blinked. Peace. Yes. Not money. Money is important. Not fame? No. Not luxury? Nia smiled. No, Ma. Then why peace? Her eyes drifted toward the window. Because when you've struggled for so long, peace becomes more valuable than anything else. Mrs. Beatrice stared at her. Something about that answer touched her deeply. Many people chased wealth. Many chased status. Very few chased peace. The sound of a car entering the compound interrupted them. Mrs. Beatrice smiled. They're here.
They.
My son and Donald. Nia froze. My son. Yes. The older woman stood. You haven't met him properly before. For some reason, nervousness suddenly filled Nia's stomach. Then she heard a familiar voice outside. A voice she recognized instantly.
No.
Impossible. Her eyes widened. The front door opened. Footsteps approached. And then, Jules walked into the living room. Behind him was Donald. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Nia stared. Jules stared. Both looked equally shocked. Donald looked from one face to the other. Then he grinned.
Oh.
Mrs. Beatrice frowned. What? Donald folded his arms. I think something interesting is happening here. Jules recovered first. Nia? Sir? Mrs. Beatrice looked confused. You two know each other? Donald laughed loudly. Oh, they definitely know each other. Nia immediately stood. Good afternoon, sir. Jules blinked. Then another realization hit him. His mother. The girl. The recommendation. Everything connected instantly. You are the Nia my mother brought? Yes, sir. Mrs. Beatrice looked between them. Wait. Her eyes widened. You're the boss she keeps talking about? Unfortunately. Nia looked horrified. Sir. Everyone laughed. Even Jules. For the first time, Nia saw him genuinely laugh. Not a sarcastic smile. Not mockery. An actual laugh. And somehow it made him look different.
Softer.
Human. Lunch became surprisingly lively. Donald dominated most conversations. He had a joke for everything. A comment for everyone. And endless stories. Several times Nia laughed so hard tears filled her eyes. Jules mostly listened. But something unusual kept happening. His attention drifted toward Nia. Again. And again. And again. At work she was always nervous. Always apologizing. Always making mistakes. Always looking like she expected disaster. But here, she was different. Comfortable. Relaxed.
Bright.
He watched her tell a funny childhood story. The entire table laughed. Even Mrs. Beatrice wiped tears from her eyes. Jules found himself smiling. Maybe he had judged her too quickly. Donald noticed. Of course he noticed. Donald noticed everything, especially when it involved romance. He leaned closer to Jules. Quietly. So what? I understand now. Jules frowned. Understand what? Why your mother likes her. Donald. No. Seriously. Eat your food. I'm eating. Then continue eating. Donald smirked. Jules already knew that look. It meant trouble. Halfway through lunch, a serving bowl slipped from Nia's hands.
She gasped.
Instinctively, Jules reached out.
So, did she?
Their hands collided. The bowl stopped falling.
Saved.
For a moment neither moved. Their eyes met. A strange silence appeared. Brief. Unexpected. Then Donald cleared his throat dramatically. Ladies and gentlemen, the bowl has survived. Everyone laughed. The moment disappeared instantly. But not entirely. Something lingered. Something neither of them could explain. Hours later, lunch finally ended. The afternoon sun had begun softening. Nia prepared to leave. Mrs. Beatrice hugged her tightly. You must come again. I will, Ma. Promise. I promise. The older woman smiled. Good. Then she lowered her voice. And don't let my son bully you too much. Nia laughed. I'll try. Behind them, Jules pretended not to hear. Outside, Nia waited for transportation. Jules stood nearby. An awkward silence settled between them. Eventually, he spoke. You never told me you knew my mother. You never asked. Fair point. For a moment they both smiled. Then he said quietly, You seemed happy today. Nia looked surprised. I was. Good. Another silence. This one felt different. Comfortable. Less awkward. Less forced. Then her ride arrived. Nia opened the door. Goodbye, sir. Jules nodded. See you Monday. She entered the vehicle. A few moments later, she was gone. That evening, Toby finally returned home. Exhausted. Hungry. But immediately he noticed something. Nia seemed unusually cheerful. She was smiling while arranging things in the kitchen. Humming softly. His chest tightened. The image of the jacket returned. Her boss. The ride home. The stories. The kindness. Something about it bothered him. A lot. Maybe more than he wanted to admit.
Nia.
She turned. You're back. Yeah. He hesitated. Then asked casually, how was your day? It was nice. Her smile widened. Really nice. The answer somehow made him feel worse. Miles away, Jules sat alone in his apartment. The television played quietly in the background. But he wasn't watching it. His mind kept replaying the afternoon. Nia laughing. Nia telling stories. Nia smiling. Nia being herself. For some reason, he couldn't stop thinking about it. He leaned back and sighed. This is ridiculous. Yet the memories remained. And somewhere deep inside him, a wall he thought was permanently closed had shifted slightly. Just slightly. Not enough for him to notice. Not enough for him to admit. But enough for fate to smile. Because sometimes love does not arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with a simple lunch. And a second look. Jules had never been the kind of man who spent his time thinking about women. At least not anymore. Not after Rose. The betrayal had changed something inside him. For 2 years he had given everything he had. His trust. His loyalty. His plans for the future. And in return he got heartbreak. Ever since then, he had built walls around himself. Strong walls. Walls nobody could cross. Not his friends. Not his family. Certainly not another woman. Yet somehow, as he sat alone in his apartment that evening, Nia's face kept appearing in his thoughts. Her laughter. Her shy smile. The way she became animated while talking to his mother. The way she looked genuinely grateful for simple things. It was strange. At work she looked like a frightened rabbit. Outside work, she looked completely different. He picked up the television remote and increased the volume. Maybe that would distract him. It didn't. A few minutes later his phone rang. Donald. Jules sighed. Trouble calling. He answered. What do you want? Donald laughed immediately. You sound miserable. I was peaceful until you called. Liar. What is it? I wanted to ask about your future wife. Jules nearly choked. Good night, Donald. Wait. I'm hanging up.
Nia.
I'm hanging up.
Nia.
Jules disconnected. A second later the phone rang again. He ignored it. Then a message arrived. She's beautiful. Another. Your mother already approves. Another. The wedding is near. Jules groaned. That man needs help. Yet despite himself, he smiled. Meanwhile, Nia sat on her bed holding her phone. Mrs. Beatrice had sent her a message. Thank you for coming today. I enjoyed your company. Nia smiled warmly. She quickly replied. Thank you for inviting me, Ma. I enjoyed myself too. A moment later another message arrived. And don't let my son stress you too much at work. Nia burst into laughter. For some reason, that message made her happy.
She didn't know why.
Maybe because someone understood exactly what she dealt with every day.
Her phone buzzed again.
This time it was Toby. Her smile faded slightly. She answered. Hello.
Nia.
Yes. You sound happy. She frowned. Should I sound sad?
No.
His voice softened. I just haven't heard you laugh like that in a while. Nia sat quietly. Toby continued. Did you enjoy your outing? Yes. Good. A brief silence followed. Then he spoke carefully. Was your boss there? Nia blinked.
What?
Your boss.
Oh.
She looked down. Yes. He was there. Really? He's Mrs. Beatrice's son. The line went silent. For several seconds, Toby didn't respond. What? I didn't know too. Wait. So, the woman who got you the job is his mother? Yes. Toby felt something unpleasant settle inside his chest. He couldn't explain it. Maybe jealousy. Maybe fear. Maybe both.
Oh,
Are you okay?
yeah.
His answer came too quickly. I'm fine. But he wasn't. Not entirely. Monday morning arrived sooner than expected. Nia woke before her alarm. That alone felt like a miracle. Usually she struggled to get out of bed. Today she was already awake. Ready. Prepared. Determined. She refused to make another mistake. She refused to be late. Most importantly, she refused to get fired. By 8 o'clock, she was already standing outside the office building. The security guard looked surprised. You are early today. Very early. She grinned proudly. The guard laughed. Good. Inside, she arranged documents, prepared coffee supplies, checked schedules, reviewed notes. Everything looked perfect. For once. Maybe today would be peaceful.
Maybe.
At exactly 8:30, Jules entered. Nia immediately stood. Good morning, sir. Jules stopped. For a second, he looked confused. Then, he checked his wristwatch. Then, he checked Nia. You are here? Yes, sir. You didn't get lost? Nia tried not to smile. No, sir. You came on time? Yes, sir. Interesting. She folded her arms. I can be responsible. Jules stared at her. Then something unexpected happened. He smiled. A small smile, but a smile nonetheless. Good. Nia froze. She had never seen him smile at her in the office before. It felt strange.
Nice.
Dangerous. She immediately pushed the thought away. The morning progressed smoothly. No spilled coffee. No missing files. No mistakes. No disasters. It was almost suspicious. Around noon, Jules stepped out of his office.
Nia.
Yes, sir. Come. She followed him. Inside the conference room, several department heads sat waiting. Nia became nervous immediately. Jules noticed. Relax. She nodded. The meeting began. At first she simply observed. Then something happened. One manager couldn't locate an important file. Everyone started searching. Confusion spread across the room.
Nia.
Jules looked at her. Did you see it? She thought for a moment. Then remembered. Sir, I think it was attached to the financial report. The manager checked. A moment later his face brightened. She's right.
The room relaxed.
Problem solved. The meeting continued. But Jules found himself watching her. Not because she was beautiful. Not because she impressed him. But because she was learning.
Fast.
Much faster than he expected. Maybe he had underestimated her. Again. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Sandra called Toby. The moment he saw her name, his mood changed. He closed his office door before answering. Hello. Toby. Her voice sounded cheerful. I miss you. Toby forced a smile. Really? Of course. I thought about you all weekend. He remained silent. Sandra continued. So, have you made your decision? Toby already knew what she meant. The proposal, the offer, the arrangement, the thing that made him uncomfortable. Toby, I'm here. Have you decided? He rubbed his forehead. Honestly, he hated the entire situation. But another part of him remembered the money she had transferred, the opportunities, the promises, the lifestyle, the advantages. Yes. Sandra smiled on the other side of the phone. And Toby swallowed. I've decided. Good. His voice lowered. I'm in. Sandra laughed happily. Excellent. For some reason, Toby didn't feel happy. Not even a little. By evening, Nia was organizing files when her phone vibrated. A message from Mrs. Beatrice. How was work today? Nia smiled. No coffee accidents today. The reply came almost instantly. Wonderful. My son survived. Nia laughed. Across the room, Jules looked up. What is funny? She immediately straightened. Nothing, sir. His eyes narrowed. Who is making you laugh during working hours? No one.
Nia. She sighed.
Your mother. Jules froze. My mother? Yes. The message made him unexpectedly smile. She has adopted you. I think so. Be careful.
Why?
Once my mother likes someone, she never lets them escape. Nia laughed again. And once more Jules noticed how beautiful her smile looked. He immediately looked away, annoyed with himself. That night, something happened that changed everything. Nia was returning home after work when dark clouds gathered overhead. Within minutes, heavy rain began pouring from the sky. People ran for shelter. Cars slowed. Roads became crowded. Nia stood beneath a small shop roof waiting for the rain to reduce. But instead it became worse. Much worse. Thunder echoed. Wind blew violently. She sighed. This is not my day. Suddenly her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered carefully. Hello.
Nia.
She froze. Sir? What are you still doing outside? Her eyes widened. How do you know I'm outside? I saw you. What? She looked around. A black SUV stood nearby. Jules lowered the window. Get in. Nia blinked repeatedly. Sir? Do you want to drown? No. Then get in. A few moments later, she entered the vehicle. Rain hammered against the windshield. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Nia smiled. Thank you. Jules shrugged. I was passing by. Still. It's raining. Still.
He sighed.
You talk too much. She laughed. The sound filled the car. And, surprisingly, Jules didn't mind. Not at all. As they drove through the storm, conversation came naturally.
For the first time.
No fear. No tension. No boss and staff atmosphere.
Just two people talking.
You really make your own clothes? Jules asked. Most of them. Why? She laughed. Because buying new clothes regularly is expensive. Fair point. My mother taught me. You're talented. Nia looked surprised. Thank you. He shrugged. It's true. For some reason, that simple compliment meant more to her than she wanted to admit. Across town, Toby sat alone in his room. He stared at his phone. No messages from Nia. No calls. Nothing. Normally she checked in. Normally she replied quickly. Tonight she hadn't. A strange feeling settled inside him. Then rain began hitting the windows. Hard. He immediately grabbed his phone and called her. The line rang.
And rang. And rang.
No answer. His stomach tightened. What he didn't know was that at that exact moment, Nia sat inside Jules' car, laughing for the first time in weeks. And fate, quietly, patiently, almost invisibly, was beginning to weave their lives together. Not with dramatic declarations, not with instant romance, but with conversations, kindness, unexpected moments, and second looks. Because sometimes the strongest love stories begin when two people least expect them. And neither Jules nor Nia had any idea that their story had already started. The rain continued falling heavily as Jules drove through the crowded streets. The windshield wipers moved back and forth rhythmically, fighting against the sheets of water pouring from the dark sky. Inside the vehicle, however, there was an unexpected calm. For the first time since Nia started working for him, she wasn't nervous. She wasn't apologizing every 5 minutes. She wasn't dropping things. She wasn't stammering. She was simply being herself. And Jules was beginning to notice it. Really notice it. You've become less afraid of me. Nia looked at him. What? You heard me. A smile appeared on her lips. I'm not less afraid. You are. No, sir. Then why are you talking this much? She laughed. I don't know. Jules shook his head. Interesting. A brief silence followed. Then Nia looked outside at the rain. Thank you again. For what? For stopping. I already told you. I know. She smiled softly. But thank you anyway. Jules didn't reply. Yet somehow her gratitude felt genuine. Different from the fake appreciation he often received from people who wanted favors. Nia thanked people because she truly meant it. That much was obvious. Meanwhile, Toby sat restlessly inside the apartment. The rain wasn't helping. Every time he called Nia, the phone rang unanswered. His thoughts kept getting darker, more uncomfortable, more irrational. Nia is probably on her way home. He tried convincing himself. That's all. But another voice whispered inside his head. What if she's not? What if she's with someone? What if she's with him? Toby hated that thought immediately. He trusted Nia. Didn't he? Of course he did. Yet jealousy rarely listened to logic. It created stories. Terrible stories. Stories capable of destroying peace. He threw his phone onto the couch, then picked it up again seconds later. Still nothing. No message. No call. No explanation. And that worried him even more. A few minutes later, Jules finally stopped outside Nia's apartment building. The rain had reduced slightly.
Nia looked outside.
We're here. Obviously. She smiled. Thank you, sir. Stop thanking me. I can't. I've noticed. Nia laughed again. Then she opened the door. Before stepping out, she paused. Sir? What now? You are actually a nice person. Jules stared at her, then frowned. Don't spread that rumor. What rumor? That I'm nice. She giggled. Good night, sir. And before he could reply, she jumped out and hurried toward the building entrance. Jules watched her disappear, then shook his head. That girl. For some reason, he was smiling. Nia entered the apartment dripping with excitement despite the weather. Not because of Jules. At least that's what she told herself.
She was simply happy.
The day had been good. Work had gone well. She hadn't made any major mistakes. And somehow, she felt she was finally settling into her new life. As she entered, Toby immediately stood up. There you are. Nia blinked. Toby, I've been calling. She looked at her phone. Her eyes widened.
Oh.
What? My phone was on silent. Toby exhaled heavily. You scared me. I'm sorry. He laughed bitterly. You've picked up your boss's favorite word. Nia frowned. What do you mean? Sorry. She rolled her eyes. Toby. What? Stop being dramatic. His gaze suddenly dropped to her bag, then to the umbrella, then to her face. Oh, how did you get home? My boss dropped me. The room became silent. Very silent. Toby stared. Nia immediately realized how that sounded. Oh no.
What?
It wasn't like that. Toby folded his arms. Then explained. There was rain. So. He saw me standing outside. So. He offered me a ride. Toby looked away. He hated himself for feeling jealous. But he couldn't help it. He seems very concerned about you. Nia sighed. He was just being kind. Kind. Yes. Your boss. Yes. Toby laughed humorlessly. Okay. She could hear the disbelief in his voice. And suddenly she became annoyed. What is that supposed to mean? Nothing. It doesn't sound like nothing. Toby remained quiet. Nia crossed her arms. If you have something to say, say it. He hesitated, then finally spoke. I don't like it. What? The way he's becoming involved. Nia stared at him. Toby. I'm serious. He is my boss. He gave you his jacket because I needed help. He drove you home because it was raining. He talks to you because we work together. Toby looked frustrated, maybe because every explanation sounded reasonable, and yet his heart refused to cooperate.
Nia.
What? I don't want to lose you. The words immediately softened her expression. Toby. I mean it. His voice cracked slightly. I know we've had our issues. She remained silent. But I love you. For a moment neither spoke. The rain continued outside. Eventually Nia sat beside him. You won't lose me. Promise. She smiled faintly. Promise. Toby pulled her into a hug. And for the first time all evening he felt slightly better. But not completely. Because doubt had already entered his heart. And doubt was difficult to remove. The next morning, someone else woke up thinking about Nia.
Jules.
He sat on the edge of his bed holding a cup of coffee. A strange realization hit him. Yesterday had been enjoyable. Far more enjoyable than he expected. Not because of work. Not because of business. Because of conversation. Simple conversation. With Nia. He immediately frowned. What is wrong with me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yet something felt different. For months, every woman reminded him of Rose. Every interaction felt exhausting. Every possibility felt dangerous. But Nia didn't make him feel that way. Perhaps because she wasn't trying to impress him. She wasn't flirting. She wasn't chasing him. She wasn't asking for favors. She was simply
Nia.
And somehow that made a difference. His phone rang. Donald. Again. Jules answered reluctantly. What now? Donald laughed. You sound happy.
No.
You do.
No.
You are lying. What do you want? Donald's voice became mischievous. How is Nia? Jules nearly dropped his coffee. What?
Nia.
What about her? Donald burst into laughter. Exactly the reaction I was waiting for. You need therapy. And you need a girlfriend. Jules disconnected. Immediately. When Nia arrived at work that morning, she was surprised to find a small box sitting on her desk. She frowned. What is this? Carefully, she opened it. Inside was a brand new notebook. Elegant. Professional. Expensive. Her eyes widened. Attached to it was a small note. For taking meeting notes properly instead of writing on random pieces of paper.
J.
Nia stared at it. Then smiled. A genuine smile. Sir. A moment later, Jules stepped out of his office. Yes? She held up the notebook. Thank you. He shrugged. You needed it. You bought it for me. You needed it. She laughed. Thank you anyway. Jules walked away before she could see the faint smile tugging at his lips. Unfortunately for him, several employees had witnessed everything, and offices survived on gossip. By lunchtime, whispers had already started. Did you see? See what? The boss bought Nia something. What? A notebook. Just a notebook. Still. Within hours, the story grew. The notebook became a gift. The gift became special. The special gift became evidence. By afternoon, some employees were already creating imaginary wedding invitations. Human beings were talented storytellers.